Hello and welcome back to Loud and Proud Orlando. It is that time of year where we get into it with some preseason predictions for the entire season. We're going to talk everything from players to MLS stats to even what happens in the other competitions. So settle in, grab a beverage, and get ready as we talk a little bit of Orlando City. I'm excited. Usually we have Taylor from Orlando City, UK here with us, but he is now having a baby, so he's, not able to be here. So we want to say hi to Taylor. We know you're watching, buddy. I hope everything's going well, and we miss you here for the preseason predictions. But of course, we've got David who's joined the pod, so he's going to be doing that for the first time with us today. It's very exciting. We got lots of things to talk about. Let's dive right into it. Luis, you want to bring up all of our categories?
There you go.
Alrighty, as you can see on the screen, you've already got me and my predictions in there just to save us time. We've also got Oz who does all of our graphics. So shout out to Oz. He's put in his predictions, which is awesome as part of the LPO team. And we're gonna have David and Luis kind of give theirs live as we go through and talk about all of the different categories and what you think. So Luis, let's start off with you. What do you have, or who do you have, sorry, for most minutes? This is MLS stats, by the way, these.
With the most minutes in the 2026 MLS season, Oscar Pareja and Orlando City select the Colombian Speedy Gonzalez, Ivan Angulo. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm like, what?
No, people are gonna riot. No, I'm just kidding. Most minutes, obviously. I mean, you have to understand. To me, he's the creative maestro of a whole entire last season. He was one of the top scorer. He broke the record of Facu Torres. I expect the same amount of heavy minutes. To me, Martino Ojeda for sure, 100%. It's just common sense. Sorry, Ivan Angulo, but it's gonna be Martino Ojeda. 16 plus goals. Last season. I think it's bound for greatness.
Oz agrees with you. He's got Martino Ojeda. David, who have you got for most minutes?
Alrighty, guys. So for most minutes, it's going to be our friend from the Great White North. That's going to be one Maxime Crepeau is going to be
Oh,
your minutes getter because I think he stays in the sticks most, if not all, of the season for all of it. And goalkeepers are great at racking up minutes.
it's a good.
Yeah.
It's good. Good.
I've gone for David Brecalo just because I think center backs, right? Same thing, kind of what David said. They're going to get a lot of minutes. And I feel like we've got questions about center back, but he's the one for me that's going to play the most. But I think Maxime Crepeau is a good shout. Goalkeepers typically are in there. Maybe there's some games where we see just out of necessity if he goes away with Canada, and we see some of those games where we're gonna have to just change goalkeeper. So maybe that's where he loses out. But Martino Ojeda is another good shout, Luis. I think any of those three guys could honestly be it. I think 2024, I want to say I have to go back. Sorry, 2025. Can anyone remember? I'll have to look it
I
up.
think I think it was Galese. I think
It
he was the
was
top.
it was
Yeah, I think
Pedro.
it,
Let's say
yeah.
Yeah. So I think Maxine's a good shout.
forever a pulpo.
That could be the case. All right, let's move on. This one's always interesting because before we would always talk about the likes of Schlegel or Cesar Rujo is the most yellow cards, but they've left. So that is like a yellow card door has been left wide open. Luis, what do you think on most yellow cards?
Oof. Well, again, I'm unbiased. I know I am Peruvian, but I really don't care. It doesn't mean anything. I'm about Orlando City. I have a feeling, knowing his character. I've seen him playing in Peru. I've seen him play in Argentina. Now in Orlando City. I think Wheeler Cartagena. He's probably going to be the guy who's going to have the most yellow cards. He's done it in prior seasons. He's been amongst the team leaders for yellow cards. So, and he's going to be he's that guy. He's that scrappy guy that loves to take control of the ball and recoup. So I think Wilder is my first choice.
I've got Wilder. Oz had Edward Atuesta. which I think is probably not a bad shout, seeing
It's
as
not a bad shout.
he does kind of tend to do some poor fouls sometimes, like kind of like throwaway fouls sometimes, I feel. David, who have you got?
I'm going with one David Brecalo. And the reason for that is amongst the center back against the defensive line last year, he was towards the higher end of the sort of spectrum of what he was going to do. And now that we're going to ask him to play, basically he is center back 1 right now and sort of in his position as he starts to adapt back. I think he ends up collecting those yellow cards, and that's okay. I think the yellow cards that he'll get will be scrappy yellows. I don't think they're going to be like, not to throw shade at Robin Janssen, but yelling at the ref yellows that Robin Janssen like to get. I think these will be for like good fouls and just really trying to slow the game down. I do want to put a very close runner-up, and I think you guys will think this is funny, to Ivana Angulo, because he's going to be playing out of position, we think, to start the year. I would not be surprised if he gets caught trying to get back like on somebody or something like that and ends up picking up yellow cards because he's either out of position or he ends up catching somebody because he wasn't in a good spot. So I just don't know if he's going to be the starting right back for the whole season. That's why I didn't pick him, because if we bring in a right back, then he won't get as many yellows. But his defensive positioning is what I question. So that he was my close runner-up for that one.
I think Angulo is a really good shout there as a number 2. Like, all the reasons you said. If he gets put in a lot of positions where he has to make challenges all the time, he's going to pick up yellow cards just because he's okay at tackling, but he's not a out and out defender. Let's stick with you, David, and move to most assists. Who have you got?
Yeah, so I think honestly, and I'm going to go with you and Oz on this, I think the Maestro figures it out again and I think he puts up more assists this year than he did last year. I just think the pieces around him are a little bit better. I think he's going to look to facilitate maybe a little bit more. So in my head, it's kind of a slam dunk that he ends up being the guy who's just going to help set up his teammates as much as he can.
Luis, you got anyone different than Martin Ojeda?
No, I agree with both of you, actually. I think Martin Ojeda is going to be the guy. He was a top creator in 2025, high assists. He's definitely going to probably break that record. Definitely, he's delivered a lot of key passes, and also, he's been tremendous. So a better Martin Ojeda, it's a better Orlando City. So I think if we see a Martin Ojeda that's productive, then we're going to see Orlando City succeed, especially with some of the new additions like Thiago and things like that.
Is there any chance for like Pasalic or like, I don't know, like Brian Ojeda, someone else to be close to Martin Ojeda in assists? Like I'm struggling to think about who else I would put there as even a close to top 10. I just think like he's in another category in our squad when it comes to getting assists.
I think somebody I think you can think of, depending on, and it depends, I think, which one, because I'm assuming we run the double pivot, right?
Could be too.
Right. And I was going to get to the point of, if we run the double pivot, I think whoever comes out ahead as the second person next to Wilder Cartagena might be a decent shout, whether that's Brian Ojeda or whether that's Atuesta. I think either one could have a good shot at being a nice runner-up or challenge Ojeda for that spot.
Yeah, I think Atuesta would really have to step it up, especially now he's got more competition in that position. I think Brian Ojeda would be my number 2 if you push me for like another option, but clearly the front runner is Martin Ojeda to get the most assists. Once again, David, who do you have for most goals?
Yeah, so for most goals, I am not going to go chalk with you, John. I'm going to go with Oz and say Duncan McGuire finds another level, at least to start the season.
Right.
And I think he bags at least 15 goals this year for Orlando City.
That's exciting.
And then I think he challenges the idea that the front office necessarily needs to go get a DP number 9. I think he comes in and says, hey, this is my spot. Come take it from me. And I think that's the kind of thing that he's going to put there. I'm going to give a nice runner-up to one of our U22s. I think Thiago could make that interesting as well. If he can start on the left wing, I think he could score goals. So that's a name that you might want to keep in the back of your head.
I mean, I really thought when I was so close to putting Duncan McGuire. I just think Martin Ojeda is like going to take like penalties and like, there'll be free kicks, and I just think he's so good that he will get more goals overall. But I do agree that like Duncan McGuire was my number 2 to put down straight away. It was like, is he going to have this season? Obviously, because he's the only striker, but also because I agree with you. Like he's due for like another big year, and I think people forget how good Duncan was at times for us, and because we haven't seen that in a long while. But I'm really hoping that he could be that again. It'd be awesome if he's our top goal scorer this year, and we don't have to go get a DP9. I would love that. Luis, what do you got?
I got somebody different. I think this World Cup year, I think he wants to hone his craft. He's gonna be able to have more help on the right side to go forward. I mean, that's what I've been told from the front office. Like they've been trying to groom him for him to up his number of goal contributions this year. So I think the no-brainer based on his character, the type of player he is, and also again a talent that came as a silent, essentially, with a lot of doubts, and boom, immediate impact after Faku left. Pick up the ball, and I think he can do even more. His left foot is his weapon. Hopefully, we see more of that this year, and I hope Marco Pasalic wins the most goals this year with Orlando City. Marco Pasalic.
Year 2 of Marco Pasalic, like I mean, like
Yeah.
we haven't seen many Orlando City DPs that like hit the ground running like he did. So you got to think that like Martino Ojeda took a couple seasons to really get good. Like if Marco is going to be even better than he was last year, like that would be awesome. And he definitely could win most goals. And if that's the Marco, we see that consistency. I think there was times where he went missing in some games last year. So I want to see him be a bit more consistent,
100%.
throughout. But
Well,
the World Cup thing is big. Like that's
yeah, it's Goss theorem stuff too, right? To get back to like the MLS, talking heads. David Goss talks about this a lot. I think with the second year, Pasalic is used to the league. He understands how it's going to work. I think he finds a way to really put it all together, and I hope he starts hot again. Right? He did start hot against Philly and got a brace last year. So would love to see Pasalic ball out like that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. So either Duncan, Ojeda, or Pasalic, one of them is we thinking going to be our top scorer for the season. Like no one's picked the we could have put DP9 that's not here yet. I would have allowed that if you want to predict that there's going to be another signing who's going to come in and score goals. It could happen, right? It could still happen. Don't put Muriel. I would ban that. I would delete that name. We should move on and talk about the player of the year. So pretty explanatory. Whichever player we feel deserves, the best player from Orlando City season. Of course, last year, Martino Ojeda. Me and Oz have gone for Martino Ojeda. Luis, do you have Martino Ojeda or you have someone else?
No, I think I mean he's gonna come close. I think he's gonna come close. But I think it's gonna be Marco this year. I think it's gonna be Marco Pasalic. I'm gonna give him to Marco Pasalic.
Sticking with this trend of Marco having
a great Luis, are you worried at all though that he's gonna miss a little bit of time with the World Cup? He might get sold mid-season if he does well. Does that worry you at all?
Yes, and possibly no, because you can maybe put one of the kids. You also have Spicer. Okay. Ojeda could play right, so. But I do feel like he's gonna. I mean, at least what I expect is for Marco to come out swinging. I mean, that's what he wants to do. I mean, and because Croatia, he wants to be a starter in Croatia. Hopefully, he wants to. They're going to be playing against Brazil in Camping World, so he's going to be part of that too. So there's a lot of motivation for him to this year to take off. Hopefully. We see 2 or 3 Orlando City players in the MLS All-Star. I will love that. I think Martino Ojeda and him are going to come very close. I was actually doubting. I was thinking Martino Ojeda might probably win Player of the Year, but they're going to come close. It's going to come at a numbers game. So hopefully, Pasalic wins it.
So let me say this though. How much do you like between both of you guys? I guess I can open the floor. How much does Pasalic have to put up to be considered like Player of the Year? Because if let's say he does get sold in the second window, like what would he have to do in your mind to be player of the year?
Like if he gets sold in the summer,
Yeah, like post
then
World
it's
Cup and he
not.
gets sold. Yeah.
Then
So he
yeah, I
has to
mean
be
he'd
here the
have
whole
to
year, right?
he'd have to ball out. Like he'd have to score
Okay.
like
15
I don't
goals.
know, yeah, 15 goals between now and the summer or something to do
Yeah,
that.
15
Like
goals, 15
if
goals.
but if
Like,
he stays, like then there, you
yeah,
know,
Yeah, for sure.
if he does like if the gas theorem does apply to him,
Right.
then in theory he should have even more goals than Martino Ojeda this year, right? So I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know, like assists wise. That's why like player of the year, I went for Martino Hader because I think he's bringing you more assists and goals overall. And you look at that GA stat, and you're going to say overall he contributed more. But there's a world where Marco definitely scores more goals than Ojeda. I can see that happening. What do you have, David?
So player of the year, I'm going chalk here. I'm taking Martino Ojeda. I just think, not only is he going to have the goals and assists, but I think he is your presumptive captain going into the season with Robin Janssen out. I think it's really between him and Cartagena, but I think Ojeda
makes
gets
sense.
an opportunity to lead the team and kind of do his thing. And I really want to see him do that and kind of see what that looks like. I just think, obviously he had a heck of a season last year, played almost 3,800 minutes by the time it was all said and done. I'm in the camp of I don't think he plays as many minutes. I think that's kind of, for some people, that might be crazy to think. But I think we find ways to be careful with him so that we don't risk the idea of a loss. So instead of 3,800 minutes, maybe he plays 3,200 minutes, maybe he plays 3,400 minutes, something less than what he had to put in last year. But I still think it's enough for him to go in and win player of the year. But I do want to give a really solid shout out to, if this defense is really solid and we end up in a top 5 defense, let's say, looking at the metrics and looking at some other things, I think David Brekalo deserves love here. Because I think he's going to start all year. If the defense stays solid and we do better this year defensively than we have in the last couple of years, you have to chalk that up to David Brekalo being the sort of touchstone of making that happen. I know it's hard for a defender to win player of the year because they don't have stats that go with it, but I think you could give a shout to that if Crépeau ends up with a bunch of clean sheets and all this other stuff. I think it's going to be in part to do with David Brekalo for sure.
I think you're totally right. Like player of the year, we're always thinking of the most contributions towards goals. But if you have an incredible like season from whatever position, like arguably last year, Alex Freeman was in the conversation to be player of the year, right? And so
100%.
from right back, so it's definitely possible if you have an incredible season. Moving on to young player of the year, Luis, who do you have? This is under 23, by the way. So any of our new signings could qualify for this, or any of the guys coming up through OCB.
All right. I'm gonna say Thiago. I think I've not seen his preseason games, but I mean I can certainly believe what David was saying about him. I've seen him in Bahia, and he's a tremendous player. He was scouted to play in Argentina. He was scouted to play first division. River Plate wanted him, which is a big team there in Argentina. There's a lot of teams in Europe that want him. I think the Portuguese league. He decided to come to MLS, to Orlando City. I think he's gonna ball out. He has it in him. He's come from winning a regional championship. He's a hard worker. And again, I think this is with all due respect, with Oscar Pareja, he has great weapons, especially on the wings. We need to see a lot of more production than last year, 110%. So I think Thiago, to me, he screams young player of the year. So
I had a real trouble. For me, I went with Luis Otavio. I think probably I've got a little bit of like bias just because I'm really excited about this 18-year-old that we spent so much money on that I think has massive potential.
And you should be. Yeah, you should be.
So maybe I'm a little bit rose tinted there about him being the best young player because we have so many.
Yeah.
He might not get as many chances as Otavio, but I'm just excited, and I think he's gonna impress for his age. I also really consider Taifi in here for all the reasons we've talked about him this season. Any of the U23, U22s, I think you could have a good shout to put in this category. David, who did you go for?
I took the other U22. I'm going with Iago. I think it's hard to ignore what impact he's going to have on this team as soon as he's able to assimilate and get up to speed. Guys, I'm not kidding when I tell you this. This guy is a mountain of a man, and he's going to make MLS men who are in their late 20s and early 30s look stupid. I mean, he is a huge guy. He's going to dominate. As soon as he gets up to speed, he's going to understand how this league works. He's going to be a great partner next to David Brecalo, because I do think that's your partnership for most, if not all, of the season. He is going to have a season that fans are going to be like, where the heck has this guy been our entire lives? And all the folks that have been saying, hey, why do we keep bringing in these young players and not spending money? You're going to quickly forget about that, because this guy is going to ball.
I think it's a great shout for Iago. I mean, look, we've got all three of the U22s there.
Point,
in the I've picked Luis Otavio, David's picked Iago, and Luis has picked Thiago. So we all think like our new U22s, or we all feel like one of them is
we all feel strongly about them.
I was thinking about this earlier when we were on the pod. If we were talking about all three of these guys, I was like, if 2 out of 3 of these guys become as good as they could be, like that's a success. If all 3 of them become, fulfill their potentials, then you've got, resellability there. I think of 3 times. Like I think we bought them all for 10 million. I think eventually, if they all work out, you could get 30 million back. So
we're gonna lose Ricardo.
I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Ricardo. Yeah,
they're gonna want him.
If we sell Iago to like Arsenal for like 60 million or something, then yes, we're definitely gonna lose.
The Wilfs need to start getting the purse ready for Ricardo to keep him, if that's going to end up being the case. Because
I know I forgot to talk about this at the pod, but I've heard the Neymar is looking. And I'm not kidding when I'm saying this. He is trying to send his entourage. He's going to come to the World Cup. They don't know yet if with Brazil or as an ex-spectator, as a commentator.
Yeah.
But he's kind of testing the waters to see MLS, but not Inter Miami. Because what Inter Miami wants to do is bring Ronaldo, actually. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
but Neymar, the problem with Neymar is he's out of shape. He's like in the same state of Alexandre Pato when he first came to Orlando City.
Well, he's recovering still from his knee injury, isn't he?
Right. So he's right now with Santos, and he's almost done with his recovery.
Right.
He's going to start again to play. He's a little bit out of shape.
Right.
So he's getting back into shape for potentially, hopefully, they call him for the World Cup. If he doesn't, he's not going to be mad. He's trying to test the waters.
Yeah.
Now, I would take Neymar in the event, but I wouldn't pay 60 freaking million or 40 million. I would probably give like.
Well, he's going to be out of contract with Santos, so yeah.
Yeah, he's going to take whatever. That's what I heard. That's what I heard from Brazil.
Well, so the latest I heard about him too is that apparently he wants Ancelotti to call him up during the March window to see if he's fit enough to like go to the World Cup.
Yeah, if not, he wants to retire or go somewhere else.
Yeah, so we'll see what that looks like. But I mean, if he's healthy, I don't know how long is he going to stay healthy for.
I'll give him a Pato deal.
But also, here's the other thing too: Ronaldo can't go to Miami right now, currently as constructed. The league would have to do backflips in order to make that work. So I'm not saying that they haven't tried it before, but not to be completely off topic. But yeah.
I think on Neymar, it's similar to the Ronaldo thing, though. Like I would be worried about what he would do to the locker room. I think he's just there to sell jerseys for me, and I'd be like, great, you could do something, but like we can't rely on a guy like that. And I think we've talked a lot about a DP, the next one being somebody that like is fit and healthy and could be reliable.
I think he fits. I think he fits better than Ronaldo because he'll have the Brazilian connection with all the young guys, and these guys have all sniffed certain levels of the Brazilian national team. So like he'll probably know about some of these guys or know what that looks like. The other detractor for him too is I don't know that he has the pull like Ronaldo or Messi would in terms of like, hey, let me call
100%.
up my friends and
I
let me
think
see.
he would.
Close. He's like the third in the world or fourth in the world, I'd say, of that.
Yeah, but
that
I don't.
level
But
of
we've
pull.
never seen him. We've never seen him play that game of like, hey, come play with me over at this club. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think
So-
Brazilians just still revere him, even though he hasn't done
Yeah.
much in a long
Yeah,
time.
because our
Like, he's
Richarlison
so
dreams might be coming to an end because apparently Flamengo has him on their radar. So, and it
Yeah.
looks like he's got a 25 million
He-
buyout clause from
We'd
Spurs.
sell a lot of jerseys if you got Neymar. We would.
Sure, no, absolutely. You'd fill
Yeah,
the stadium too.
He's
Yeah, he
the
would.
James Rodriguez of Brazil. It's pretty much the same. It's
Same
the same
deal.
It's pretty much. I mean, James in Colombia, in a lot of the clubs he's played with, has never really panned out. I think when he played in Madrid was his best stint he ever had. Same with Neymar. The best stint he's ever had in clubs has been either Santos or Barcelona, the MSN. That's it. Like there's after that, PSG a bust. You know, the second coming of Santos a bust.
We're about to see if James can do it in MLS with Minnesota, so it's going to be interesting.
And in the cold.
Interesting. It's like the last place I would imagine him wanting to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I think it shows that he's really desperate to find somewhere to play some
Well,
minutes
yeah,
before
he
the
wants to
World
be
Cup,
fit
right?
for Colombia. So
Yeah,
he
that's
figured
the
out that
only
he has
reason
to put
he's
some work in to get into the team. Who knew?
well, yeah. Did you guys as a last thing? Did you see it's going to probably take him till March to get fit? So he might not even be ready for the season opener.
This is
so.
why when people say sign James Rodriguez, I'm like, no, don't sign James Rodriguez for this exact
100%.
reason right there.
Yeah, and not only that, he's all about his national team. He doesn't give a rat's ass about club.
Although we do have a yellow jersey now, so maybe he'd play well for us if we're in yellow. Okay, let's get back to it and talk about the back line. So we've got defender of the year. This can be anybody in the back four or back five if we play that way. Who knows? Or the goalkeeper. Of course, I have gone for David Brecalo for all the reasons we talked about earlier. I just think this is his year to be the number one center back, that leader in the back line. So I think he's going to have a massive year. So I've gone for him. Oz has gone for Iago, which was also a very, good shout, I think. David, what have you got for defender of the year?
I ride with my young player of the year, and I give Iago the edge. And the reason why I do that is not only for his aerial dominance that I expect him to have when he joins Orlando City. I think he also is going to put balls in the net. I think he's going to get probably 2 or 3 goals throughout the season, and people shouldn't be surprised when he goes and does that. If you guys haven't seen the highlight video of him getting that long looping header that ends up in the back of the net, and I forget who he was playing against, but like it's the most ridiculous ball you've ever seen. You don't expect it to do anything, and then this big dude just goes up, hits it with his head, and it loops into the net. That's the kind of stuff I'm expecting to see from Iago. So I think that's where he ends up getting the edge for defender of the year.
Luis, who do you have for defender of the year? Have you gone Brecalo? Have you gone Iago? Who you got?
Adrian Marin.
I'm gonna go to Kamal Miller. No, I'm just joking. So defender of the year,
Robin Johnson. You want to go that route? Comeback of the century? No.
Robin Schlegel, or I'm gonna
Rodrigo Schlegel
or Kyle Smith. So defender of the year for me is definitely, to me, a guy with a lot of upside. I was very on the fence between Brecalo and Iago, but I mean, for what I've been told also by a lot of friends from Brazil, he says this kid, he's gonna explode in the MLS. Like more than likely, he's gonna be in Orlando for like a year or two, and he's gonna go to Europe. So I'm gonna go for Iago as defender of the year. Coming close though, David Brecalo, because of the number of minutes and because I feel like he is definitely one of the players that's also looking very fit this year. So hopefully we have a new center back pairing. I mean, it's about damn time. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, we all expect it to be those two guys as our main center. No one's gone for a fullback. Nobody wants any of that action, or no one's interested in what's going on there. We've all gone for center backs and played it safe, which I think is smart. Talking of center mids, defensive mids. So this can be anybody that kind of plays one of those more defensive roles in the midfield. So you've got like Wilder, you've got the new Ojeda, so Brian Ojeda, you have Luis Otavio, Atuesta, Colin Gusky, if you want to go that route. Lots of guys here you could choose from. I went for Wilder because I think he's going to have this comeback season of like just incredibleness. So I'm excited for that. Oz has gone for Luis Otavio. So he's really thinking Otavio is going to come in and make a name for himself, which I love the idea of that. We talked about all the pluses there. Luis, who do you have for defensive mid / center mid of the year?
Well, I think the work he's been put out in the off season, I think he's gonna come out swinging. I've heard from sources within his camp that he's really motivated to take not only just the role of a 6 or an 8, but also center back, hopefully as well. Sometimes some tactics, but also his leadership skills within the club. Like a lot of the young kids, like a lot of the Thiagos, the Iagos, a lot of the Brazilian guys, Angulo. So he's really developed his leadership style that we've seen before, especially me in the Argentinian league. He was a captain of Godoy Cruz at some point. So I think Wilder is going to come back swinging. Now, close, I was with Brian Ojeda as well, because I feel like Brian Ojeda comes MLS ready and he's going to put a lot of minutes. So I was close, but I think Wilder, we needed him last year, dude. You know, it was gonna be Sukkot and Wilder last year, I felt. And
we definitely missed him. I feel like that was a big part of what went wrong last year was no Wilder. David, who do you have for the defensive mid of the year?
I'm going with the Peruvian. Wilder Cartagena just screams to me comeback player of the year. I think he's going to come back hungry. He's got the right attitude. He's got the right energy coming into camp. I think he's going to have moments where he wears the armband as well and really lead this team. I think he's going to be a great mentor for Luis Otavio. As Luis Otavio comes in, he's going to continue, obviously, to work with Colin Gusky as well. And then when Gervais gets back from his injury, I think they're all going to benefit from having this guy on the field and off the field. I just think it's a slam dunk. And that's not to take away from Luis Otavio. I think Oz has a great shout there. It's hard to bet against somebody like Wilder Cartagena, because I think also Cartagena is going to play so well that the Peruvian national team will be calling for his services when they get back into playing matches. I just think he's that good.
Yeah, 100%. To add to what David said about the Peruvian national team, right now there's this whole drama of his counterpart over there, Renato Tapia. He used to play in Feyenoord, and now he's playing in like Saudi Arabia. He is not getting along with the leadership there at the federation, so they're kind of shunning him. They're looking for other options within the Peruvian league, and I've been asked, on my other pod, I was like, "Yo, how's Wilder looking?" I was like, "Yo, he's looking better than what he did before he got injured." So you should definitely pay attention.
Can you imagine, guys, though, a better Wilder Cartagena than what we got before? Because he was already very good before.
That's what I heard.
A better Wilder Cartagena now would be nuts. Like anyone in the East should be afraid to see this dude in the midfield if that's the case. Like,
yeah.
And one thing about Wilder is that he also takes care of himself, and that I'm gonna break some of the stuff now that they're going to the team compared to other players that are no longer in the team. I'm sure you guys probably could think that are also friends with him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't drink on the weekends. He didn't, not even a drop of alcohol. Like he will eat like salmon and veggies. He would not eat ice cream with his daughter. He will maybe have like a fruit.
Oh, come on. Have
some ice cream with your daughter. Wilder is like very he's a job for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he treats care like now when it's on the off season, then yes.
Sure.
But when it's like preseason, getting into like he's very like disciplined when it comes to that. From that whole bunch, he was like the most like rigid, like from all of them. So
yeah,
I think he's gonna have a massive year, hopefully. And yeah, we need him in the national team too. I mean, because
I was going to
otherwise,
say, Luis, do you think it's possible that he gets called back into the national team if he plays well
yeah,
for Orlando?
100%. I think right now the new coach of Peru is this Brazilian guy. He's a former Grêmio manager, Meneses. So
Mm-hmm.
um, again, this player that plays his position is not going to be part of the national team. So I think Wilder, if he does really good job with Orlando in the beginning of the season, I think he's going to be called up.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
We're all excited for Wilder. No one went for Brian Ojeda, which I think is interesting. I think he could have a very good season. And Atuesta, we're still on the fence about. We want to see more than last year, I think.
yeah,
Is the
100%.
general feeling.
Yeah.
Attacking mid or forward of the year. This is basically anyone who plays in the wings or the number 10 or the striker. David, who do you have for this one?
I'm going with the de facto Capitan. Give me Martin Ojeda. I think with the season that he's going to be able to put up, especially with us saying that he's going to have a better season than before, I think he ends up being the guy, and I think it just makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I mean, we talked so much about Martin already and all of his incredibleness. I am excited to see if he gets the armband as the captain. I think personally maybe Wilder should be captain and Martin is like vice captain, just because I don't know if I don't know him like that, but he doesn't seem like a leader on the field always, Martin, right? Like
He's
not to take
quiet.
that away from
I was
him,
going to say
but
he's a little quieter if I
I want him
correctly.
to focus on the attack and not be
Right.
worried about our whole team, right? Whereas Wilder is more in a orchestrated position where he sees everything and is part of everything, even at defense and attack. So, but I think that he is definitely a leader in the team. So maybe vice captain is the right one. Well, Luis, what do you think? Who do you have?
I'm gonna go with you guys. I think his production last year is undeniable, and I have a feeling I was coming closer to him past Alicia Martin, but I feel if you're talking about attacking mid forward of the year, I think Martin circles all the dots. I think he's gonna have probably better production than a lot of the forwards in our team. Hopefully, definitely more than Angula, but hopefully McGuire is fighting for that spot as well. But I think Martin, it's a safe bet that he's gonna have probably a repeat, or if not, maybe off 2 goals, but he's gonna definitely hopefully be consistent. I mean, it shows in preseason so far for what I've heard. I mean, he's been pretty consistent. So
Yeah, and you got Duncan McGuire was the vote from Oz, so I think that's also a good shout. Like if he has a good a season that as Davis predicted, he's going to get the most goals, so he could definitely be up there as our forward of the year. And maybe Marco Paslic, like Luis was talking about, him getting the most goals. So maybe that relays into it. It depends which one of our forwards really stands out this year. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Moving on to total goals. Yeah.
Hey John, before we get to the next section, I have a proposal, like a last minute curveball here.
Please, yeah.
What if we said, like, who's our top bench person of the year? Who do we think is going to come off the bench and make the most impact for the team this year? Let's call it the Ramiro Enrique Award, because he would tend to come off the bench and do that. Who do we think is going to be the player there? I think that's a fun thing to talk about with how somewhat deep this team can be.
I'm gonna go. I think off the bench, most influential is gonna be. I'm gonna go Thiago.
Okay.
I know you're thinking he's gonna start a lot. I think he's gonna be the guy who comes off the bench to go in striker for the beginning of the season when Duncan gets tired, or they're gonna bring him on either wing because I think he's just so flexible, or even put him in the 10, even right. So I think Thiago, if he's not, in my prediction, he's not going to be a starting guy straight off the bat. So I think they're going to want to give him a lot of minutes. So I think off the bench for me, and the guy who's going to influence games off the bench the most, like Enrique used to do, I'm going to go Thiago.
Okay. Interesting. Luis, is there somebody off the bench before I give mine that you think be the most impactful for Orlando?
I feel like Thiago probably going to start on the wing, and I would like to see Terry Spicer
Okay.
laying it up. So
Yeah.
also, if he gets a chance, Sukada also hopefully. We'll love to see a new breakout star like a Taifi, a Carvalho as well. It'll be great. But I think if I go for a certain, it will feel continue a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Spicer brought up, especially a change of pace in the attack when there was a deadlock, or if Oscar puts us in a deadlock, sometimes he will come and just open the lock up right away.
Yeah.
So I think we need that. We saw him be more effective than Ivan Angulo. So I think Terry Spicer, I go for him.
Okay. For me, I'm going with one of the young guys that you mentioned. I think Taifi is going to be our bench guy this year.
I can see that.
And I
I
think
can
he's
see
going
that too.
to, very similar to how John described Thiago, I think we might see Ivan Angulo start at right back, but I think Taifi is going to put in such great shifts for the team in multiple different spots that I think it's going to be hard for Oscar to not play him and find a way to actually get him on the field more often. If you watched him at all last season or with OCB, I think this kid is very much trending towards the Swiss Army knife that Poppy loves to have in his back pocket, i.e., like the Kyle Smith kind of mold. And I think Taifi's got the athleticism to go and do that. He's had a really great offseason. He's had a really good preseason so far. He's been put in some spots that, maybe challenged him a little bit more this preseason than was expected. But every time he came on in the limited minutes he had last year, he seemed to be impactful. He seemed to be quick enough for the game. The game didn't really pass him by. So I think Taifi is a perfect person to plug into this spot and do that. And then the other young guy that I don't want to forget about that I think could be just as impactful, that with all the attacking depth we might be forgetting about, Harvey Sajarin, I think could be a guy that we can't forget about. I think with his versatility, playing any of the front three spots and even the 10, I think you're going to find opportunities in games where he can come in and make a difference with the skill set that he has. Especially, the team had a lot of confidence in signing him as early as they did. They drafted him as high as they did. There's a reason for that. So I think Harvey and Zachariah are two people that don't ignore when it comes to looking at the bench. If they're on the bench, you should be excited if their name's going to get called.
I like it.
I like it, yeah.
Let's talk about goals scored. This is MLS total goals scored. Last year, we scored 63 goals. Oz is going exactly the same. He's gone 63. I've gone 3 less, so I've gone for 60. Luis, how many goals are going to be scored this year, more or less than last year?
So last year was 63. I'm going to kind of stay on the same realm. I think I'm going to go for 62. And the reason is 63 was a high mark. So I think we look to see a similar track with now Martin Ojeda and McGuire. To me, I think the biggest question mark is McGuire. Then you have young additions that are going to bowl out. We got Thiago. You have also Marco Passage being motivated for the World Cup. So I see the number of goals scored kind of staying within the 62, 63 kind of point. I agree with Oz there.
David, are we going up or down?
Orlando City is going to score 66 goals this season, and they're going
David's
to set the single season record for amount of goals that they've scored as a team. And I'm going to tell you why. Martin Ojeda is going to have a follow-up to his MVP type season last year. I agree with Luis. Marco Paslic is going to be playing like his hair is on fire. And then we're gonna get some legitimate production from our left wing, which we did not get most of last year. And then, like I said earlier, Duncan McGuire is going to get most goals on the team. He's going to ball out as well. So I think we're going to get 66. I might even be shorting us on that. This team is going to come out firing as soon as the season starts. And the preseason may not show that at the moment, but I think this team is building up towards something that's going to allow them to fire on all cylinders.
Okay. And then on the other side of the ball, defensively, last year we had 51 goals conceded. I think we're going to be better defensively, which I don't know, might be a bold take, but I'm going to go for 45 only goals conceded. Oz has gone up. He's gone up to 53 goals conceded, so 2 more than last year. David, how many goals is Orlando City going to concede in this MLS season this year?
Orlando City is going to concede 48 goals. I know that seems like an odd number, but I think that's probably the sweet spot of where we're at.
That's what I predicted last year, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I think 48 is probably about where they're going to be at. I think the reason for that is I think we're going to be more solid down the stretch, but I think in the beginning we might be a little bit shaky as we're starting to feel each other out a little bit, especially if they make the Iago switch early. I think you're going to see maybe not some same pages from Brekalo and Iago, so there might cause some issues there. I'm also predicting that left back might not be settled, and that might cost us some goals on that side. That's my bigger concern with all of that. With having a new right back and Ivan Angulo where it's not his natural position, and then having a left back spot that I don't think is very solid, I think we might get toasted on the wings a little bit. So we're going to let in some goals a little bit early, but we'll come back to earth as we get more structured there.
Luis, what do you think?
We're going to get a new right back. That's per sources.
So Ivan Angulo, temporary solution, I hope.
Yeah. So Ivan Angulo is going to have to fight. He's going to have to fight for that position as well. So I mean, he was already told in the beginning. I mean, before everybody got cut, he was told by even Pareja, I was like, dude, like you got to show us a little more. You know what I mean? So, so there's gonna be a new right back coming. I have a big faith on Iago and Brekalo. Brekalo needs to stay fit. I have a feeling he's gonna stay fit. Marin, I agree with David there as well. It's a little bit of a question mark. A lot of people within the club say that he has improved tremendously. So I really don't know. So I'm gonna be a little daring, a little bold. I'm gonna go Orlando City total goals against, 40 goals against.
Wow, good defense.
So maybe goals scored is not as like boom shakalaka.
That would be our second best season, right? If
but
I'm remembering that correctly.
I think
it'd be pretty good.
Goals against is gonna be 40, and because we're gonna see Iago, and hopefully a healthy Brekalo, and then hopefully a healthy Jansen coming up in the second half. You know, that's able to kind of be there as what kind of Schlegel used to be in prior seasons before he got all these minutes added to him. So 40. I'm gonna go for 40. I know probably I'm gonna get killed, but whatever.
Okay. No, I think it's very optimistic. I like it. Definitely a good defensive performance out of us. If we're gonna only concede 40 goals, and we'll see where that puts you in the table. All right, in terms of total points, last year we had 53 total points. I've gone up. I've gone to 56. Oz has gone up. He's gone to 59. David, where you got for total points?
I agree with you. I think we're at 56. My positioning is a little bit different, but I think we're at 56.
All right. Yeah, hold your positioning thoughts. Luis, what's your total points?
So last year, Cincinnati had 40 goals against, but the East is stacked and it's always changing. And so some of the numbers that happened last year are not going to be repeating this year, I feel. So I'm going to go for total points. Orlando City is going to have, to be completely daring and bold, we're gonna be a top 4 in the East. We're gonna be 64 points.
64 points. Holy geez.
Now,
wow.
64 points last year got you top 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like Philly level
59,
stuff.
59 points got you top 4 last year.
I mean, it tracks with your goals and your, right. We're not conceding as many. We got to win some games. So are you then saying 4th is what you're going to go for, the final position?
Yes, I'm going to go for 4th. Top 4.
Okay. David, with your 56 points, where will that land Orlando City in the Eastern
Take
Conference?
that, Weeby.
That will put Orlando City 7th because I think
Seventh
the
for
East.
you.
I think
Okay.
the East is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, East is rough.
I think teams like Nashville, Cincinnati, Inter Miami, Charlotte are all easily in that thing. They're going to be duking everyone out to do that. And then I think the middle pack, right before you get to the wild card games, I think is going to be really tough and a slog. So I think even with 56 points, they're not quite gonna get there. They're gonna have some great games and some blowouts. Hence my total goals scored. They're gonna have some blowouts and really like lay it on some of these teams because I think the bottom of the East is pretty bad. So I expect them to kind of put it on them. But yeah, I think 7th is about where they get. I think they're just above the wild card line there, but in a good spot to go for a run.
I've gone for 6th place. Oz has gone for 5th place. So
There you go.
between 4th and 7th,
I'm the most optimistic.
I think that's pretty accurate. Like
No
I think
doubt.
I would be shocked if we don't land between 4th and 7th. I think that's a good like ceiling and floor for us this season.
Yeah, but yours and David
we
John's
don't.
are very realistic.
Luis is trying to project like a great finish here, but I think David makes some great points. The East is stacked. We know that, and we say that every year, but it is true. And if you're not one of the best 6 teams, where do you land, right? So we have to be in the conversation as being one of the better teams in the East to even get close to 7th.
But if our Brazilians work out the way it should be,
they could. Yeah, if they all hit and they hit early,
like I mean, you're talking
achievable.
about if Iago kills it, if Thiago starts scoring a bunch of goals, if you got Mark on the other side, you got Ojeda, and then you got even Duncan McGuire scoring a bunch of goals. Like, and then you got Iago being like the Montaña, like David was saying. Like, honestly, like, I mean, we could be one of those. I mean, I know I'm like completely like far fetching, but I mean, we could be in that position of like, hey, like how the hell Philly got all these people and they're like,
they could all just immediately come together and we pull a Philly. It could happen. There is a scenario like it also could be absolutely terrible and nothing works and we're 100% spoon contenders by May. Honestly, it's I think what we've all gone sort of like in a similar range because no one here is thinking we're going to be a top 3 team. No one thinks we're going to be a bottom 3 team in the East. We all feel like we should be somewhere in the mix of 4th to 7th. Maybe even 8th or 9th, depending on how brutal the East is. Yeah. We'll have to see. David, with that 7th place, what do you think happens in the playoffs?
We make it to the conference semifinals.
Okay.
So we get through the best of 3 series. We beat it out there, but unfortunately, when we get to the conference semifinals, our luck runs out.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's more optimistic than I had. I'm like best of 3 series will hit a roadblock.
Yeah.
Somebody.
So what's interesting for mine is because I've ranked the entire East like in my head already of what that looks like, and the matchups that we could face because it would be 2 against 7. The teams that I have sort of in that 2 spot are all teams that we're historically good against. Yeah. So I have faith that like we will continue to carry that in there and be able to beat them in sort of a best of 3 series. And then when we go and play a team that we're not so good at the next go round is where we get stuck a little bit.
In any of the prediction places that we've landed in, most likely we're having away games. Like unless we're in 4th, we would then have home games. 2 home games. So we'd be playing 2 away games in the best of 3 series in these scenarios of 6th or 7th.
Right.
I just think I think we're going to come up against a team that's better than us at that point. And over 3 games, you just see it. Yeah. Is what I think. And I think Oz is in the similar position. So like we'll get to the playoffs, but it's probably not our year is the general consensus. Luis, are you in the same boat? Or are you predicting we're going to win MLS Cup?
Look, we're going to be forced to have a gold kit now as an away kit after this season.
Because you think we're going to win it all?
No. I'm not that. No. I do feel though, if everything works out, and it's a conglomerate of things, right? I mean, it's the Brazilians working out. You have Duncan start scoring scoring again Wilder coming back, because we already know what Brian Ojeda is going to do. You also have the right back they're going to sign is going to pan out. You're going to also have Iago, Brecalo fit. They're going to make the life easier inadvertently for Crepeau because they're going to have a really good back line. We should reach Eastern Conference Finals again. So if everything works out, I mean, again, it could be. I mean, I don't want to get too ahead, but I mean, I know people are not gonna. I know people want to put MLS champion, but you're also jinxing. I'm a firm believer in fate and things like this, and you don't want to jinx this, man. You don't want to put champ right there and then. You know what I mean? Like, I will never do it. Because
Luis, just out of curiosity, who is even hinting at the fact that we're there? Because I feel like a lot of the discourse is the other way. It's like they think we're competing for a spoon.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I will never put that we're going to a final. That we're going to go into the MLS final or even in the finals winning it all.
Luis's optimism peaks at fourth. I think that kind of says it all, right?
I think right now it peaks at fourth.
Okay.
Yeah. No one can predict where the winners, but also if you read everything online, you think that we have no team and we're terrible and the season's already over, right? So I think that there's balance on both sides.
Yeah.
David, let's talk about the other competitions. Leagues Cup.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to happen there for Orlando City?
I think Orlando City's luck does not run in Leagues Cup this year. I think they are knocked out in the phase 1, as they like to call it, or the group stage.
Wow.
They're not gonna make it through, because remember, guys, it's the top.
I
4
considered
teams.
that, honestly.
Yeah, it's the top 4 teams from MLS and then the top 4 teams from Liga MX, and I just think the draw goes against us, and we just end up getting a really hard group, and there's just nothing we can do about it.
We had to put in a lot of effort to get out of the group last year.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah.
The way they did
to
it
win
with
3+
this crazy
over
table
Necaxa
thing
to move on. So, and we thankfully put up that 5-1 shellacking, but I just don't know if we have it in us again.
I have round of 16, so making it through the group stage, but then immediately getting knocked out. So does Oz. Luis,
so
what do you think?
For Leagues Cup, that would be quarterfinal. Just so that you're aware.
It's not. Doesn't go round of 16.
No, it's quarterfinal, then semi, then final. So
that's why I changed it. Luis, what you got?
I'm gonna go also for. I mean, just make the kids play this tournament. Like, I will go group stage as well.
We say that every year. They don't play the kids. So
I don't know.
We want to win every competition.
They want to compete and all of that stuff, but
that's what killed us last year.
You have to understand, and I want to be clear with this. You have to make the kids play this tournament. This tournament should be only played in the West Coast. The Mexican teams don't gain absolutely nothing by coming here. Absolutely nothing. It's a waste. The Leagues Cup should be played in the West, and the U.S. Open Cup should be played in the East. I mean, how hard is that, Mr. Don Garber? Like, isn't it? I mean, you can get the best of both worlds.
It feels to me like it's a competition where Liga MX is just like taking all the money they want out of USA for their purposes because they don't want to play it in Mexico. It just seems like MLS is just letting them do what they want just because we want to have a competition where we play Mexican teams.
Yeah, even Mexicans are like, what the fuck are we playing?
It gets disrespected by the Liga MX fans. It gets disrespected by the MLS fans. So it's like, who's really here for this tournament?
No, I'm excited to face.
This year you have to jam it in post World Cup, so that's going to be like miserable. I don't know what the heck that's going to look like.
I think they should just cancel it this year. Honestly,
they should cancel.
They've squashed it in. They literally have shoehorned it in there. It's a good point, David.
Now, and there's word, and I'm going to say this because this is going to be great. If we start doing great, guys, and I'm saying to the club as well, start preparing the bags. If Orlando does great this season, better than last season, start preparing the bags. And because FIFA apparently and CONMEBOL and CONCACAF are close to reach a deal in which there's going to be MLS teams being able to choose to play CONCACAF Champions League, Copa Libertadores, and Copa Sudamericana. So what I'm trying to say
they want
is,
that Messi bag before he retires,
well,
man.
they want, obviously, yeah, they want Messi to play Copa Libertadores, but all I'm saying is that would be great for Orlando City. You know why? Because they'll be able to really test themselves, not only as a brand, we will become an international brand, even more than just having Miami. You know, you imagine Cincinnati going to Bolivia in the altitude, or imagine going Orlando going to Lima, facing somebody there. So it's gonna be good for the players. It's gonna be good for the league. I think it's gonna be good for the brand of Orlando City, and hopefully
Yeah, I would
we
do.
make.
Honestly,
I
I do
rather
the
play. I rather
Libertadores
play
if it
that
was
than
me.
Leagues Cup. 100%.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So
But
I'm
in the
gonna go
Leagues
group
Cup,
stage
what
as
do you
well.
got? Group stage? Okay.
Yeah, group stage. Yeah, group stage. Just have the kids play there, and we're gonna face probably Cesar Araujo and Tigres.
No, we got to get one against Tigres this
Honestly,
time.
that is banter. I want to see that. Luis, the tournament which isn't loved by US soccer for some reason, but we
I
love
love
it
it.
more, is the US Open Cup. What are your vibes on that one? What do you think? Is this the year?
If the MLS season results happen and we're positive, we can contend for this. And I will say we'll win the US Open Cup.
All right. Luis says winner.
Now,
Is it 2024? Take me back.
with two
I mean
trophies,
22.
yeah. Now, and then that's the question: is Oscar staying if we win the US Open Cup?
Do
And
they say it's good
like
enough? You just keep winning Open Cup for the rest of your
it
tenure?
comes to that predicament: is he
Oh
leaving? Is
no.
he staying?
I think with silverware, he probably stays. It's hard to fire a
Yeah,
coach
it
after
buys
they've
him
won
another
a
year.
trophy.
Yeah, it probably would, wouldn't it? David, what do you think? Are we gonna ride off into sunset with the Open Cup again?
No, we're gonna make it to the semis, and
Oh,
we're gonna
man.
unfortunately get knocked out by Charlotte. Is my prediction. It's gonna be
But
one of those
Sacramento
better
United.
teams.
As long as it's not Nashville, I'm cool.
No, well,
But
Nashville's not in
Nashville,
it. So the
Thank God.
hardest teams that we'll have in it are Atlanta,
Yeah.
Austin, and Charlotte and Chicago are like the top.
Oh, I'm ready
Imagine
to face
Facu
Facu, bro.
in the final, and we're playing Facu in an Open Cup final. That would be wild.
Minnesota's in it too, but I
Bro,
don't think James will be
I'll
around.
injure him so bad.
Yeah, that would be. I would love the storylines of Facu's in the Open Cup final again, but this time
Yeah.
against us. That would be crazy.
See, in my head, I envision like, and it won't happen because of the regional pots, but like in my head, we have a tough match against Atlanta that puts us into the semis or something like that. Because
Yeah.
they do the regional pots for the US Open Cup. So that's kind of like the thought in my head is like we end up like being able to take out somebody like Atlanta on our way to the semifinals or something like that. So
You imagine if we're like, make sure you hit his right foot. Hit his right foot. No, man. I mean, it would be. I still can't believe in it. Look, Facu make a lot, and again, I have a feeling he was heavily influenced by his father for him wanting to leave Orlando to go to Palmeiras. He was a bust over there. Palmeiras fans like do not like. I mean, he didn't live up to the expectations, and he comes, and it's kind of weird because he could have come back to Orlando. I mean, you know what I mean? And I think again he picked Austin just to, you know what I mean? And again, he goes back to he goes back to the MLS because he knows now that that whole Europe dream or whatever, that ain't happening.
It's gonna be interesting to see him in the league, see if he can do it with another team. That is all of our predictions that we have for the year. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. There's so many things we talked about there. David has done a really great survey that is going to be going out on social media. Luis will repost it on
We're gonna be posting
LP.
it.
So if you have your opinions on how you think the season's going to go ahead and fill that out in the survey so that we can get you guys what you think as well, because that's
hey
always
John,
important.
can we ask
Yeah.
one more question here?
I was going to throw it out to give me your random season predictions that anything off the top of
Okay.
your head.
Before
that
we
you
get to,
think's
before we
gonna
get to
happen.
random, can we
Yeah.
can we touch on this one?
Yeah.
Do we think Poppy makes it through the season? I think that's a decent question.
I think it's a very good question. Luis, you want to start?
Well, I mean, it just depends on a lot of factors.
Well, if he's gonna win silverware, like you
Okay,
said,
so
does he make it?
let's look at Orlando City's schedule, because that's gonna tell you.
Okay.
So Orlando
Like if
City's
we lose
schedule,
that Miami game early, the pressure is on, right?
So let me tell you this: the first 5 games for Orlando City are Red Bulls
Mm-hmm.
home, Miami home,
Mm-hmm.
New York away, Orlando, Montreal home, and Nashville away. So there's only 2 away games, March 7th and March 21st.
Yep.
If Orlando City wins, they must win the 3 home games. Because again, if we're talking about having a successful season and we want to get to my kind of predictions, you got to win at home.
Agreed.
If Orlando doesn't win those 3 matches, and again, I will say, man, fuego. I'm telling you, like, there's going to be Takis times 3, bro. I mean, that shit's going to be flaming hot Cheetos, flaming hot Doritos. I mean, that shit's going to be hot.
Right.
And
I think too, as well, Luis, we need to
and we
get
could
back
see
into
that.
Yeah, we need to get back into the
We could see
winning.
them parting ways.
I think we need to get back into the winning ways on opening day.
100%.
I think a win for this fan base on opening day would do everyone wonders
100%.
to go into the season and get a win against a Red Bull team that's reeling a little bit right now with coaching changes and a lot of players. I mean, they just sold a really good center back super late in the window, so I don't know that they're going to be able to replace that. So to me, start off with a win right off the bat. Come in, get a win, and then, of course, if you can beat your rival at home, whether it's with Messi or not, who knows? We'll see what that looks like. But if you can beat your rival at home, I think you're getting a huge benefit there, and you start the season on the right foot. But if you lose, let's say you drop points, not even lose, let's say you drop points against Red Bulls, let's say it's a draw or a loss, and then Miami comes in and Miami beats you, Oscar's seat should be hot from the jump.
100%.
You can't go into the season with both of those results and expect to be safe going into that.
Orlando cannot have 5 L's at the beginning of the season. That's what I want to say. If there is if there's even 3 L's back to back, it tells you, shit ain't working.
Can I give you my perspective? I think he's gone by the World Cup break. Personally, I don't know that the team is able to figure it out as much as they're able to figure it out. I think they limp into the World Cup break, and then I think based on what's going to be available out there, I don't think it's going to be so much based on his performance. Of course, his performance will go into it a little bit, but once the club sees what's available post World Cup break and kind of working on those things, I think there's a potential that the club looks at it as a way to upgrade over what they already have and try to ride out the rest of the season.
I can agree. I think if we are in a bad situation, it should happen. Definitely. I think that's the time to do it. I think more likely for me is that Oscar gets enough out of these guys and they probably playing the same way. And we're in 5th or 6th or something like that by the time the World Cup comes around, and it's all just okay enough that they let him roll on.
Gotcha.
But I do think that Ricardo he's built a team that he wants to see play a certain way, right? And if I think that we have the players to play the way that Oscar wants to play, but he shouldn't necessarily play that way. And I think that we're all tired of seeing the same tactics from him, and I'm sure Ricardo is as well. So I think there's probably been some conversations about like, okay, I'm going to assemble this team, but like, are you going to play differently, or are you just going to do the same thing all the time? So I think that's a big thing. If we see the same Oscar tactics and they're not working, then that's fuel for Ricardo to say, it's time for you to go, right? Like you can't be here anymore because you're not doing what's right with the team that I've given you. So if that's the case, I think that could definitely happen. I think it's more about, for me, how does Ricardo view the season so far? And like David said, is there a better option, right?
Yeah.
We're not mid-season gonna roll the dice if we don't
Yeah.
have a better
Now,
guy lined up. They're not just gonna get rid of Oscar unless we are in wooden spoon territory. Like they're not just gonna get rid of him for no reason.
this lineup has a lot of potential. This whole entire roster right now for the
Yeah.
future.
And he needs to realize that.
100%. He needs. There's no experiment time right now.
Yeah. Like if
So
we see Thiago starting to be stifled, like that's the
right,
kind of thing that
100%.
Ricardo
Like
will be
you
like, well,
see,
you're not getting
Well,
the most out of our
let me
players.
ask you guys this. So would you say that if we're below the line at the World Cup break, is that enough to part ways with Oscar at that point?
For me, it is.
for me as well.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'll be
Whether
honest with
they
you,
is enough for the Ricardo to justify that to the Wolves, I think is a different question.
Sure. Okay.
right now
Interesting.
you have a manager that I saw an interview lately from my brother that he lives in England now, my brother. So he told me, hey, this guy used to be in the MLS and everybody hates him. He sucks. And I'm like, who? Oh, it was Wilfred Nancy. And so he's like, you know, he is right now enjoying his life in an island, hanging out.
Yeah. 6 months off. Maybe Wilfred Nancy's itching to come back to MLS.
Yeah, he is taking time, and he mentioned to Sky News, says, "I'm taking my time to evaluate my next move. After such harsh conditions and harsh introduction to Scottish football, which is not a fair test of my abilities as a coach. I was mistreated unfairly." And they asked him if a return to MLS could happen. He's like, right now I'm enjoying time with my family, but I am evaluating to definitely return to my home, the MLS, because my reputation was tarnished. Those are words from Wilfred Nancy. So if Wilfred Nancy, again, if we have 3 or 4 L's back to back, all those home games are L's. The fan base is upset. The STMs are upset. Like there's a complete disconnect. Orlando's gonna have to make a decision. At this point, there's no turning back. I mean, they cannot have the same season they had last year.
Other years, it would just never be a question for me because it just seemed like they would never make a decision on Oscar's contract situation until the end of the season. Maybe that's different for Ricardo. Maybe he sees it differently. But I think it has to be really bad for us to get rid of him in the middle of the season. I think they're more likely going to roll with him. Maybe keep him all the way until we change the calendar and then go find your manager in 2027 when they're like, okay, we got a new calendar format and we're going to go pull a guy off who's ready to start a brand new season in the summer.
Yeah, I would almost want to use the silly season though as like a feeling out period. Like I don't
I
care if we
agree with
lose
that
the
too.
silly
It
season.
could be.
Like maybe bring them in right before the silly season starts, and then you're just like, hey, just play with the team during the silly season and figure it out and see what you want to do. And
maybe we just have more options if you're in the summer of 2027 because they know that they're joining the league in the same format that they're used to. So like European managers will be like, oh, it lines up now. Yeah, this is an option. So I don't know, but it definitely more interesting than going in the winter. The winter is limited. So if we're going to do a new manager, I'd rather do it in the summer. Yeah.
We got Joseph Mourinho, John. Joseph Mourinho.
Maybe.
This is a special one.
Let's go full defensive tactics. Do you guys have any random predictions for the season? Like anything that's just like, hey, I think this is going to happen that's like not even player related or stadium related maybe or anything? No?
Well, definitely a new third kid, right? I think everybody has mentioned that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see we were talking about rebranding. I would love to see the three line logo more. I think it's a
3-line logo.
Yeah. So, and another thing, man, I would love to see just. I guess it's not a prediction, but I guess it's just like a statement. I would love to see more embracing between the community. You know what I mean? Like coming together for Orlando. I mean, this could be a really successful season, or it could be a really challenging season also. We got to start, I think what unites us is Orlando City, right? And so we need to just stay that way. You know what I mean? I think we need to see that, and yeah, it's gonna be a good season. Hopefully, I'm excited.
David, you got any predictions or anything that you're looking forward to this season you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I think my funky prediction is going to be the club struggles to fill the random premium seating that they've put around the stadium. So they start begging people to go and fill
That
those
could definitely
sections.
happen.
So I think that's my funny
People
one.
don't have a lot of spare money at the moment.
Right. I think they're gonna go to people and be like, listen, for this game, do you guys mind going to sit up in this section? We will, take the exchange or whatever it
Did
is.
you ever load the press box? Because
Don't
You're
be
gonna
no,
get emails about free upgrades.
what I'm
to
saying is,
Sidebed
yeah,
Social.
don't be shocked if as a season ticket holder they come to you and they're like, "Hey, for $45, we'll put you in that seat for this game or whatever," like something like that. Where I think they do it because they want to fill that section and make sure it looks full. So I think that's like my funky one of sort of the season. I think the more fun one of the season is I think you're gonna see one of the best Orlando City home records we've seen in quite some time.
Oh,
I think
hopefully.
Orlando
God.
City,
Please.
maybe not coaching staff wise, because we'll see if Poppy is here or not, but I think Ricardo gets connected with the captains and they make a way with the partnership with Jared Dillon to make Inter & Co Stadium a fortress again. And we start heading in that direction of like really playing hard, tough matches at home where we come out with more points than we have in the past. We make it a awful place to play, and like opponents just don't want to come here. I think that's what this season is the turning point for us to get back into that direction of making Inter & Co a scary place to play. Because I think that's what we're going to need to be successful in this league to win trophies. We want people to be afraid to come to Orlando and play in that stadium.
Yeah, I think that we need that for sure. We need to be and I think the attendance that I know people want to see go back up, it's so much tied to those home wins. And if we start the season with a series of home wins, some of the casual fans in town start to hear, oh, they're good this year, I want to come. And then, that's just how the ball rolls. Whereas if we go the other way and it all starts terribly, then by the summer, nobody's coming to games because everybody's, and this being a World Cup year, having a good home atmosphere and being a place that people want to go watch soccer is really important. So I hope that we're gonna get some home wins. I want to be excited on the wall. I hate going to the
and it sells
home
it sells
games
the
where we tie or throw it away. Like those games
Yeah.
last year, we threw it away. That was
well,
awful
and
to
it
watch.
helps us sell the DP, right? So if we're looking for a big name that happens to be in the States around the World Cup, or even if they're a spectator, even if they're not playing on these teams, this is a great way for them to be like, oh wow, like look at the atmosphere, look at the chemistry, because they'll watch some of that stuff in the lead up to all that. So it's just a great way for us to kind of sell it. And I want us to be excited. My section got really depressing last year at some points because we just weren't a great home team, and we can do much better in that department. I hope we do.
Now, I also want to say, be a little bit more engaged with the fan base. You know what I mean? And I think as an outlet, we try to do our best to keep the community engaged and with all things Orlando City, Orlando Pride. But like for example, let's say we win U.S. Open Cup again, or after big matches, for example, let the players go on there, do a live or whatever. You know what I mean? Like go. Have the players. The players have their own social media. They would like to have control of their own social media a little bit more. Sometimes I've heard like players aren't even allowed to go live and things like that. In other leagues, for example, there are players that after a game they go and they are dancing to music, they're celebrating in the locker room, and and they're showing like them dancing and being themselves or saying like a powerful message. I think fans want the club to be a little bit more engaged with them, and that's what I've heard from a lot of people. So hopefully this year it's a little bit of a change on that route. But it's exciting that we're coming again to a new season, obviously, and I hope that all the players work out the way it should be, and hopefully we can win a trophy. I don't know if it's going to be U.S. Open Cup, Leagues Cup, or MLS Cup, but
Supporter
I
Shield.
think the fan base is ready for another trophy.
Yes, indeed. All right, guys, that is our 2026 season predictions. So let us know what your thoughts. Drop a comment, drop a like. Of course, if you've not done so, go watch Monday's podcast that came out. The jersey reveal. We've got preseason game happening next week. We're going to be back to preview Red Bulls for our first home opener. We're getting into the home stretch here, guys. So Orlando City is just around the corner. If you've not done so, go ahead and follow us on social media, and we'll see you guys all next time. Vamos Orlando!
Vamos Orlando. Have a good one, guys.
Oh!